Good morning. I feel like I should do a Robin Williams imitation sometimes. Good morning. I'm not in Vietnam and I'm not Robin Williams, bless him. So here I am inside because I'll show you the world. It's like that out there and it doesn't look like you couldn't do live. See the racing stripes on the windows? That's because there's temporary glass on the windows because the installation of double glazing is still going on. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, everybody else who's watching that Facebook hasn't told me who you are yet. Sing Marie, good morning. So we're inside. Morning, Barb. Because when it's like that outside, the Wi-Fi doesn't work outside. If it's too humid, it's just not good. So today we have rocks, and this one, never been on camera before. Morning, Heather. Anyone who is a New Zealander or probably an Australian will recognise that this is New Zealand pūnamu. And obviously it's made into something that you can wear. This was given to me by somebody a while ago, and it's beautiful. I don't wear it because I can't stand wearing things around my neck that dangle. But it's gorgeous, and you can see it's a bit translucent. It's a common shape for pūnamu, which is the Māori name, to be carved into to wear around the neck as a pendant. And it's beautiful, and it just wanted to come and be on the live with us today. So there it is. Yes. Yep. Greenstone is, the old-fashioned name, but it's nephrite jade. And this is a lovely piece, which was given to me. So there you go. Now, what else have we got? We have Nikki. Good morning. We have Nikki with us. Yay. It's not what you were expecting from me, was it? This is rainbow jasper. And jasper's a kind of quartz, but it's got all kinds of things in it. And for obvious reasons, it's called rainbow jasper because there's so many colours in it. Yeah, there's some really pretty things today. There's always pretty things. I mean, when a rock's not pretty. So, look at this. It's quite fabulous. This was also given to me. And it's a beautiful thing that I really, you can just turn it over and over and look, there's a little dot there of red in the middle with yellow, and then there's blue around it. Jasper is often red, so there's a lot of red in the middle of this piece, but it's got everything on it. In the end, I don't know how well you can see that the dark parts of that are actually dark green. Good morning, Sammy. Lovely to see you. We're just doing the rocks inside because it's far too misty outside for the Wi-Fi to work, so here we are. And last but certainly not least, this is actually the second crystal that I ever actually bought. I don't buy crystals now. Well, very occasionally I do. They're quite often still given to me, but I don't buy them. Susanna, good morning. And obviously this is a quartz cluster, and I liked it because, look at it. It's very symmetrical, and yet, it's also quite chaotic. Each of these points kind of seems to push energy in its own direction. Bloodstone would be the red part of the jasper, Linda. But technically it's called rainbow jasper because of all the different colours. So, and it's lovely. So I hope you can see them on the, you never quite know what's going to come through the camera. This one, obviously, is a really beautiful, transparent, clear quartz. It's just, it's really lovely. I used to sit and meditate with it back in the days when I sort of worked with crystals more specifically than I do now. Now I just enjoy them. They're very much, they're like people. And they come and play with us when the opportunity presents, and then they put their hands up. So those are our rocks for today. Now, today I want to talk about something really obvious, but I won't tell you how I got there. It's too long, convoluted. We waste a lot of time with that. The point being, and we were talking, there was a conversation that happened last week that I had with a beautiful being last week who's having great insights and understandings about what's been driving patterns through their life, okay? And one of the things was about the inner critic, and the inner critic being what takes away your sense of worth. And I read this and I thought, yeah, that makes sense. And then I thought, hold the phone a moment. There's something about this that doesn't feel right to me, and it's not to negate the connection that's been made that this, in in your head makes you feel worthless. And there was something kind of, you know how a light bulb goes on and you make a connection, you connect the dots, and I thought, hold on a minute. If I say that my inner critic is taking away my self-worth, the first thing I've done is I've given my power away to that voice inside my head. And that voice inside my head, by the way, is synaptic connections that I've made because of experiences that I've had, which I have rehearsed and remembered, and they've been reiterated by people like your mother or your father or whatever. Morning, Trey, great to see you. It's hardware in your brain. Let's just get really, this is not denying the experience. Oh, please, don't think I'm saying it's all in your head. It is all in your head, but not in that way. It's real, the pain is real, the repeated trauma is real, and this architecture, this experience that we experience as the inner critic or the inner, bitterness or the rage or whatever it is, let's expand it, just criticism. That is a real thing, right? But that isn't actually per se what makes you feel like crap. It was like, sort of slice and dice, cut this from this. The thing that went off in my head when I thought about this, because I wanted to do a live about it, hang on a minute, that's not actually what makes me feel like crap. What makes me, speaking from experience now, feel like crap, and I understand this now and I didn't before, morning Laura, morning, is when my brain is incoherent. You think, what the hell has that got to do with the fact that I grew up with trauma in my entire life, And yeah, you've taken in beliefs about yourself that do not belong to you. Totally, because you're conditioned. You don't have the ability to question anything when you're small. What I'm trying to say, let me try to explain this. When you have those thoughts, which you heard 1,000 times from the significant people in your life, let's just use that example. When that runs again, that whole neural network fires up, and remember, it pours chemistry, and you have a stress response because the chemistry is stressful, whatever it is, they're stress hormones. And what stress does, and let's talk about the antelope that's being chased by the pack of wolves, right? The deer that's being chased by the pack of wolves. And antelope's in Africa, the wolves are somewhere else. Get your metaphors right, Maddie. Don't mix your continents. So the deer that is being chased by a pack of wolves has three things in mind. And we're the same, by the way, whether we're being chased by a T-Rex or we're sitting in a cubicle and the person next to us is someone we really dislike. We're thinking about, the deer is thinking, I have my body's under threat, I need to protect my body. Here I am in the environment, I'm running through the forest or the plain or whatever it is. There's a threat behind me, the environment, right? What's around me? And I'm here and safety is over there, and how long is it going to take me to get there? Time. And for those of you who know, this is all stuff I've learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza. I do not take credit for this wonderful, clear explanation that I've managed to learn and absorb for myself because it makes sense to me that I learned this from him. So that is all the deer is thinking about in that moment. I got to get my body through my environment to a safe place, and I got to do it before the wolves catch me, right? That's it. Now, when you're doing that, let's put you in that situation now. Somebody is yelling at you, or you're feeling hatred for someone, or you're feeling afraid of someone, or you're remembering a fearful thought. The stress response is still the same as what happens for that deer. It's pretty much the same. It's the flight, fight, or flee response. Those are the choices you have, or freeze, I beg your pardon, I missed one. And same chemistry. It kind of works out in different ways, you get different emotions, but the same fundamental stress chemistry. Now, when you are in that mode of running away from a Tyrannosaurus Rex, your brain is going, there's a tree, I've got to walk around that, there's a rock, I've got to step over that, the things behind me, the brain is constantly going from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the person, to the threat, to the, and how much time have I got? And it's firing very incoherently. See, I'm getting to the point now. The brain has got all these different parts, different compartments, they manage different things, and when you're under stress, they are just doing what they have to do to help you survive, but it's an incoherent state. That's why you feel so awful. Me, text comes in, it makes a lot of noise, especially when you're doing live, right? So That's what I mean by incoherence. When we're under stress, when we're angry, when we're sad, when anything that isn't peaceful, calm, centered, your brain is to some degree incoherent. Now, by the way, you and I sitting together doing this, hi Melanie, morning. You're listening to me with a brain that's in beta, hopefully low to moderate at the most beta, and we're not coherent in the way that I'm going to explain when we're doing this. But we're not in high stress either. We just, we're in normal, wakeful, paying attentionness. That's beta brainwaves. When you're under stress, you go into high beta. When you lose the plot, you go into high beta. If you're going to sit an exam and you're kind of excited, you're going to go on stage, but you're not stressed out, that's moderate beta. That's okay. High beta is the stress state. And when you're in that state of, it doesn't feel good. And when you're in the state of inner critic, yelling at you and screaming at you and all of those things saying, this person was mean to me 1,000 times and I know how this feels and I'm playing this feeling over and over again because I've memorized it and my body knows how to do it better than I do. It's the same stressful state. We don't realize that in terms of our chemistry, we're running away from a pack of wolves. And in terms of our brain, the brain is firing incoherently. And the more incoherent your brain is, the worse you feel, period. The more coherent your brain is, the better you feel. It is that simple. That is what makes us feel good or bad. And it was a huge light bulb for me a couple of years ago now, I think. I don't know when it was that I finally realised that whatever therapy you do, whatever modality you do, whatever process you do to feel good, if it works, it's because you feel more coherent. That's what people are after. They want to feel coherent. They think that means feeling pleasure, feeling happy, feeling delight, feeling joy, feeling love. All of those things happen only when your brain and your heart, by the way, I won't talk about that so much today, are coherent. You can't have good feelings unless your brain is coherent. So, the inner critic is painful. The rage, the suppressed trauma, all of that is painful. But understand that is the effect of the cause, which is the incoherence in your brain, which is the synaptic connections that you've often rehearsed for years and unconsciously, you don't know you're doing this to yourself. But we rehearse these stories and these emotions and they're traumatic. They come back on their own, some of them. And that's what the pain is. And I know now, because I'm used to being fairly coherent going through my day, being centered, being calm. I can get into alpha quite easily. Beta brainwaves, right, what we're doing now. Alpha is the space where you're relaxed, you're calm, just chilled out. Theta is where you go between, when you're between waking and sleeping. That sort of half awake, half asleep thing. Brain slows down. You're getting ready for sleep, or you've just come out of sleep, you're getting ready to go into your day. Delta is deep sleep. You're out. Your body's comatose. Well, your body is catatonic, doesn't move. You're doing all sorts of things in your brain in delta. So these are the states. We go up and down every day, twice. If you go to sleep, you go down from beta to alpha to theta to delta, and when you wake up, you do it the other way around. And when you're in high beta, you're stressed. Really stressed, and your brain is firing incoherently. So if you have a functional brain scan and you see all the little waves for each compartment of the brain, they're all over the place. Now, coherence is when all the peaks and troughs of all of those different parts of the brain line up. It looks like someone, if you had like a pencil, but it had 50 different leads on it, and you were just drawing with a pencil, and all of the waves and troughs line up because the brain starts to be like a symphony. And there's a conductor, right? And the conductor says, this is the beat, this is the music, we're playing together now. And I can tell you from my own experience that when I can take my incoherent brain and make it coherent, it doesn't matter what painful feeling I was experiencing. Hi, Charlotte! It goes away and I feel whole. Wholeness is the product of a coherent brain. And Joe and his research team, they've measured it many times. The more coherent the brain becomes, the more energy there is in the brain, the better that person feels. And, that they measure them in the process of whatever the meditation they're doing. And afterwards they come out and they say, wow, that was amazing. I feel so whole. And I've had this experience myself, knowing that I'm coherent. I know how it feels now. I know when I'm coherent. I know when I'm not. And when I'm there, I have had so many times now I've thought, I don't want anything else. I don't need anything else. I'm complete. I could die now. It's all here. It's all complete because I'm so whole. And I've lost it and been completely not whole. I've been terrified. I've been angry, whatever. And I know now that if I can make my brain more coherent, that inner critic, that bullshit that goes on, the whatever it is, here's a name for you. I learned this name recently, again, listening to Joe. When you wake up in the morning and that chatter that just starts without you paying any attention is just there, you know what that's called? Julie, morning gorgeous! You know what that's called? It's called the default mode network. Default mode network. What does that tell you? You run this network of synaptic connections and thoughts and feelings by default. You don't even think about it. It's just what's there when you wake up. And here's another one fact that I found out. And again, this is science. When I get coherent and I go down through, beta to alpha to theta, hopefully in my meditation process, and I get myself coherent, I get my brain coherent. You know what happens when you get your brain coherent? That chatter, which is the neocortex, your thinking brain, the chatter, because the thinking brain is busy in beta, right? It turns off. It shuts the hell up. You get into alpha, you go deeper into theta, there is silence. Your brain becomes coherent, you feel whole, and whatever that voice is saying, it stops. And it stops for the whole day. That is why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, because I know what my default mode network used to be. And by the way, you keep changing that every day, you keep mastering it to some degrees, some days better than others. Like, oh my God, I don't always feel totally fantastic when I've done my meditation, but I know I've mastered some degree of myself. And you keep changing that, and after a while, it changes. I don't wake up feeling the same way I used to. Because I'd wake up and feel a certain way, and I think, well, this is what I'm mastering today. And I've told you, I pull the energy out of my body with the breath. I use the convergent and divergent focus that I've learned from Dr. Joe. And my brain's got much better at doing this now. So I can wake up feeling low and tired and whatever, and I can sit down and do my work, and there's always going to be some shift. I'm always going to come out of that process being somebody a little bit different from who I was when I sat down. Sometimes it's really different, sometimes it's just a little bit different. But here's the point I need to make before we run out of time. When I have become coherent, when I have a coherent brain, and I know it's coherent because it's no longer yelling at me, and by the way, that takes some practice. It doesn't happen immediately. It's like training an animal to sit down and be quiet. It takes practice. But when I have a coherent brain, not only does all that stop, and it will. It's a neuroscientific fact. That's just what happens when you get out of beta and into alpha. The chatter stops. The deeper you go and the more coherent you become, what you find is it's actually impossible to feel bad. You can't. Because you're so whole. Whatever it was you were feeling before you started, and even if you think about, I'm sitting in this space of wholeness and coherence, and I even, consciously make a choice to observe from this place of oneness and unity, the thing that used to be, 40 minutes ago was giving me grief. And I just look at it and think, oh. And quite often an insight about what I need to change or, what I need to be or whatever will arrive, or the energy will just shift. And it's just no longer a thing, at least for the time that I'm there. It is impossible, when you're coherent, it is impossible to feel that kind of pain, because you only feel that kind of pain when you're incoherent. So this is the thing. This is what I wanted to say, that no matter what the story is that we have told ourselves, and the pain and the truth of that, with the revelation of what it is absolutely true, not denying it. But to realize that the neuroscience of this kind of pulls the rug out from it. And we come back to the space of, okay, I'm hurting because my brain is incoherent. My brain is incoherent because I'm playing a tape that was laid down when I was young, and I didn't have the analytical mind to say that's complete shit and I don't want to own this and believe this is true about me. And I've gotten really conditioned to that, and my body knows how to do it. And so if I can practice being somebody else, if I can practice these processes that make my brain coherent, that feeling is going to go away. It's going to take some work, because I'm really used to doing that feeling. But I know this is a fact. If I get coherent, I'm not going to feel that way. And I find this utterly liberating. Because it just doesn't matter what shit's going on in my head or in my body. I know this is the truth. And so really that's what I wanted to share on my Monday morning. Kapow! Here it's happening. This is the truth. We need to know that we are this powerful. And that beneath whatever is going on in your head, this is the truth. It's architecture in your brain. It's chemistry in your body. And we can change it. It's going to take some work. It might take a lot of work. But is it worth it? Are you worth it? Hell yeah. And I would never go back. And if I could wave a magic wand and have you go kapow from where you are to where you want to be, I would do it. But then you wouldn't have what only you can give yourself as you navigate that process and become that person you want to be. It can't be bought, and it can't even be given to you. You've got to give it to yourself. So that's my rave for today. Thank you so much for joining with me. Big love. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.